2, 3. Hello, hello, hello. To everyone who's watching, welcome. We're celebrating Dynamite's 20th anniversary this week. The incredible Fred Van Lente is here with me today to talk all things Dynamite. We're going to talk a little bit about the Dynamite, exclamation point in the middle, the Dynamite series, and we're going to have a good time talking about it. So, yeah, I think I'm working our StreamYard today, so we should be live in our main places. So if anything looks weird, let me know. I'll pull our comments up.
I'm receiving you loud and clear, Amy.
Yes. Right, you're live. We're good?
Yeah.
We can find you.
Ready. I'm in Major Tom. Your system's dead. No, your system's very much alive.
I see Gabriel's watching us. Thank you, Gabriel, for celebrating our anniversary with us.
They are doing, just to warn you, I was going to mention to this Amy backstage, but might as well get this out of the way now. They're doing construction on my building. So If you hear weird noises, I swear it's not the part of my body you can't see. It's coming from outside, but very close outside.
Okay. I got the air conditioner running right now. I don't know if you can hear it. I mean, it's not super loud right now. Hopefully it'll stay that way. But let's get right to it. A few years ago, like the Dynamite series, it's one of the craziest mashups we have of Dynamite characters. So it's part of our 20th anniversary bundle. How does that feel?
It's very exciting. I saw they've got a bunch of my Dynamite stuff in the bundle, including The Mocking Dead, which was my first ever zombie project for Dynamite, as well as my first Dynamite project, period, which was a lot of fun, which is basically a parody of, as the name implies, sort of George Romero style zombie stuff. But Dynamite then came along a few years after that.
Do you have a favorite project, Dynamite project, or is it all of them?
It's like picking between my children. I really love, you might be able to see it under the R of my name there. My favorite's probably Jennifer Blood, which I believe is also up there on the bundle, along with Garth's Jennifer Blood and many other allegories. She's a good character. And she appears, I should say, in the second Dynamite series. I should have looked at this before we started filming.
That's okay.
It's Dynamite. It's not Dynamite Never Dies. That was the third one. I think it was Dynamite Lives was the second one.
Lives.
And
there's
Dynamite
Lives, Dynamite Never Dies.
And then the first one's just Dynamite. So Dynamite, there's Red Sonja, Peter Cannon Thunderbolt, Vampirella, Project Superpowers, Evil Ernie, and Smiley, or at least just Smiley. Oops, that might have been a bit of a spoiler. Don't tell your friends. And I know I'm missing someone, but and Miss Fury. So that was fun. And I say John Carter Mars and John Carter Mars, sorry. And so that was super fun.
It's the biggest, I'm pretty sure this is the biggest bundle we've ever had, because there's like 74 titles, and you can download it, you can get them all, because it's a low price, around $20, because all the money that is going to the Heroes Initiative, I think I might have forgotten to talk about that yesterday, but it's all going to a good cause, and we're like this close to $9,000.
So that's great. Yeah, the Hero Initiative is a terrific charity, as I'm sure a lot of you know. Even if you're a massively successful comic book creator such as myself, there's no, pensions, there's no, built-in medical insurance. You need to pay all that stuff out of pocket. And Hero Initiative does a great job helping creators with housing and medical expenses and all the other great stuff, particularly folks who are getting on in years and can really use that level of assistance once the main part of their careers is over.
Yes. So I know I'll say this again later, but I hope everyone checks out the page. It's in the info below, the link. So
the Dynamite. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You had a question.
I mean, I was going to ask you about, because you've done multiple series for Dynamite, and since the Dynamite series specifically has so many characters, what's your trick for writing for so many? How do you balance it?
That's a good question. I mean, at a certain point, I do kind of hit a wall in terms of like, it's a little cliche, but it's important to give everybody their own voice, and that was particularly easy with Dynamite, just because Dynamite was nice enough to not make me adhere to any previously standard version of the character. So it was kind of like my Red Sonja is kind of like Central European, Eastern European, Hyrcanian. I don't know how you pronounce that. Whatever she was in the Conan canon, right? Or in the that's what she is in this. So she's a lot more Russian in this version, I feel like. And then later on we find out that Vampirella and Panther are sisters. They both come from Draculon. And then the second series they hook up with Ash Williams of Army of Darkness fame. He calls them monster chicks. That was extremely amusing. Jennifer Blood shows up in that series, and then my favorite Dynamite reference is there's a it's the general's name is his name's Garth Fields, I believe. And so his nickname is Battle, so his name is Battlefields, which is the name of a guard that is World War II real life. I don't know if that's part of the bundle, but that's a still hidden Dynamite Easter egg in case you're wondering. In there also. And then the third series was super fun. I went back and watched all the a lot of old Tarzan movies. If you have Paramount Plus, for whatever reason, Paramount Plus has all of the Tarzan movies, like even the 1915 silent one, which is bananas. And then he gets to go to Mars, which I realize I'm like the 700th. I thought I was so clever, like putting the two, Edgar Rice Burroughs characters together, but it turns out 700 people have thought of it before me. But did they have zombies? Did they have a zombie Deja Thoris? Did they have a zombie John Carter Mars pitting against Tarzan? I think not. And so that was the fun part there.
Did you say Jennifer Blood was your favorite character overall?
Yes.
I'm curious why.
Well, like I wrote a lot of Punisher, not a lot of Punisher. I wrote the Punisher at Marvel a bit, and they, Jennifer Blood's often pitched as sort of a female Punisher, and there's certainly some truth to that, but I think she's kind of her own character. Like I like her because like, I really like the Garth Ennis Punisher run, and so I kind of tried to bring the ethos of that. If a vigilante, like I guess that's sort of supposed to be what Batman is, right? I just like the idea of a vigilante who's crazier than the criminals she goes after, and is just completely off the rails. Her enemies are constantly underestimating her, and she's always able to sort of think 3 or 4 steps ahead of them because they just can't believe she does some of the crazy shit she does. And I like to swear, as you could just tell, so I like to swear in my comics, so I got to swear. Okay. Jennifer Blood. That was fun. None of this Xing out of things. It's all right there on the page.
What's been the loudest feedback? Which Dynamite series has gotten the loudest feedback for you? Has it been Dynamite or Jennifer Blood, or
that's a great question.
What has it been?
Well, I would have to say it's probably Dynamite. Like I do get a lot of people coming up and saying they really like Jennifer Blood, that whole series, so that's really gratifying. So I guess it's sort of a tie between Dynamite and Jennifer Blood. I think people like there is the Dynamite characters all are very different, but they do kind of have that pulp sensibility kind of going through all of them, and you really see that I think once they're all together in one series and people get a kick out of it, and I just like Vampirella and Panther like bitching at each other. It's just hilarious. Like they're just fun. They have a nice sibling rivalry. I wouldn't say it's the same as my relationship to my sister, but it's similar.
Okay.
That's fun.
Our friend Gabriel's asking.
They're yelling at each other.
Our friend Gabriel's asking, will there be more Dynamite? I guess
I don't know.
If you'll be writing it.
I beg your pardon?
That's what I'm still on Gabriel's question. Like I don't know if we have more of it coming out. I don't know if any of our higher ups have talked to you about more Dynamite.
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm willing and ready to serve if called.
Good to know. I guess that kind of leads to my final question. Like, is there a Dynamite thing that you haven't touched on yet that you would like to take a stab at, or any crossover we haven't done yet? Or
I mean, I'm probably like a bad person to ask that because I've done literally every Dynamite character thanks to Dynamite. You know what I mean?
Or just a solo series, maybe? Like what's or not or
That's a good question. It'd be fun to do more. I don't know why. I really loved the John Carter the books when I was like 10. You know, so as much as I enjoyed doing that, I did a lot of the Mars stuff in Dynamite, particularly in the third series, Dynamite Never Dies. But that would be fun to do more of a John. I went back. I did this whole obsession where I collected every like Marvel and DC appearance of John Carter. That was fun. It was a fun little, downtime at a Comic-Con. I like diving into the long boxes as much as the next fan. So that's been it led me to a rediscovery of collecting comics, which was fun. That's something I just hadn't done for since I was like in college.
John Carter.
Well, thanks, Dynamite.
Has Jennifer Blood not done something yet that you'd wanna write for her? Or
there is, so I guess that's a good point. There is, I've set up, it would be fun to do there are these assassin characters, the ninjets that come out of Jennifer Blood, and we did a fun series with them, and I would like to pit the ninjets versus my version of the ninjets versus the current version of Jennifer Blood. Would be super fun. So that's thank you for reminding me about that. Yes, that's true. I would really do that.
Sweet. Gabriel's asking, you think the boys could be in the Dynamite series?
I don't think so, because I think they're owned by Garth and Derek, but maybe if we ask nicely, they seem
maybe if we ask nicely, maybe it could work.
I know Garth lives like 3 miles from me, so I could look through the windows of his little lobby of his building.
Just knock and say, "Hey,
hello.
We have an idea."
That's right. Let me just pitch it.
Would you be into it?
You remember that book, The Boys, you did? Question: what if zombies? Right? It just kind of sells itself.
It does. It really does.
And
the other half of Gabriel's question: how can a person get hired by a comic studio? Well, I guess, Fred, what was your first? What was your big break? How did you get? Because I don't think I know this. Like before, were we first for you, or was somebody else first? What?
No, so I spent about 9 years trying to break into the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I self-published or had really, really teeny tiny companies publish my own comics. And ultimately a comic I did, a crime comic called The Silencers, caught the attention of Marvel. And so then Marvel hired me, and enough people liked what I did. They gave me more and more work. And then I guess what really put me on the map is a book I did with my buddy Greg Pak, a book called The Incredible Hercules. And then from there I did Amazing Spider-Man, Iron Man Legacy. And I guess the biggest hit that I worked on was I took over from Robert Kirkman on Marvel Zombies, which is, of course, how I got hired to do The Mocking Dead, which was my first. Well, I guess Nick came to me. I wasn't hired to do The Mocking Dead so much as that was an original property I did for Dynamite. They asked me if I wanted to do a parody comic of a zombie comic, and that's sort of where The Mocking Dead came up. So, yeah. So the simplest way to be hired by a comic book studio is to do your own comics and then have the studio hire you based on the strength of that. Like what you'll generally find, and that's as true for me today as it was a decade plus ago. The people who are going to hire you are generally people who are fans of you. They're hiring you, not like you go to a lot of jobs like we need someone to make donuts or whatever. So you got to go in and say I have experience making donuts, but it's not really like that in comics or in any kind of artistic field. They want you because of you, right? You're being cast specifically, even though you may be in competition with people. There's people who want you to do what you do. So your challenge when you're starting out is to get people to know what you do by doing it. Are you following me? I've said do a lot. I think you're getting me. I think we're all following here. So on. But yes, the simplest answer is, and I quite honestly I don't know. Particularly if you're a writer, I should say that entire lengthy, long-winded speech was applicable only really to writers. If you're an artist, those folks, if you're a talented artist, those folks will always find jobs because there's always work.
Right.
But when it comes to writing, the competition is pretty fierce, and you sort of need to prove that you can do it right before they'll hire you.
I still think that's a great answer. You really just go for it.
Yeah.
Essentially, you just write, and you see whose attention you get.
Exactly, and you know, in my day, we still had, it was still primarily paper comics. I mean, the challenge folks have today, God knows I'm very happy I don't have to break it now because, thanks to Webtoon and Tumblr and all these other different services, it's easier to get your comics out there than ever before. But unfortunately, then there becomes the challenge of getting attention specifically on your thing. If you want, under the E there in my name is a book called Make Comics Like the Pros that Greg Pak and I did. It's available on Amazon. Not a Dynamite book, so it's not on the Humble Bundle. Sorry, I went off brand there for a second. But yeah, if you want to check that out, go right ahead.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Gabriel. And to everyone who's watching, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to Fred.
Yeah.
And please check out the Humble Bundle. Check out all of Fred's series and all the Dynamite series. Check out the link below. And thank you guys for watching. And I will see you all soon. We got more to come this week. But thank you again, Fred.
No problem.